I actually tweeted out about this particular match a couple of days ago saying, I feel sorry for the people in the audience because things are going to get very loud very quickly. Arenair and Ocelot are loud players, and when they make good plays, they are going to be letting everybody know about it.
So here we go then, into game. Alternate on the blue side versus SK Gaming on the red side. Are we going to see any early action? Of course, in our first game of the day, we saw a crazy level 1 fight, which was, there was that Nami in there. Obviously, it didn't quite go their way, but something tells me that SK might end up playing a little bit safer here. And as I say that, look at the minimap, and it looks like they could go for something. Yeah,
so it does look like Alternate, the power of the Aqua Prison at low level, in conjunction with the power of a Shadow Dash taunt from Kerp. If you think to the level 1 from Moscow, where Kerp got a 4-man taunt against Fnatic and managed to set them up for 3 kills for 1, it worked in their favor. However, it may end up just being a swap right now, as SK, they've snuck themselves into this lower bush. The fact that they have vision advantage and positional advantage means if Alternate move forward, they're in trouble. But instead, they're actually just going to walk over a ward, and all of that is just basically for deep vision. They grouped up together, got the wards down, and went, we don't really know, and they backed away.
Yeah, we'll see if Arenair actually starts down on that red side, which would expect from him, to be honest. Obviously, we are playing on 3.8 here, if you didn't already realize. And you see there a bit of a pink ward battle going on. So, and just to touch back on that there, the jungle changes obviously implemented here for us in week 3.
Yeah, so of course, all the standard mobs are going to be spawning later in the game, which means that we're most likely going to be seeing more of these 2v2 setups. We're not going to see the lane swaps because they're less... if you do a 2v2 setup, you're less impacted on the red side by the additional or early level advantage of your opponent. And it's exactly what is happening. Both teams pretty much starting off with the camps as best as possible. 80 carries helping out their respective junglers. But very, very importantly, the blue buff is being stolen away by SK thanks to some of that vision they had. They realized that Alternate were moving on to their red buff, and a very good early steal from Hercubot and the rest of SK.
Yep, nice little start for SK Gaming here. Do we have anything else interesting? Pretty standard stuff in terms of what all these players have picked up early on. We can see that Hercubot is just going to be backing off towards his red buff after stealing that balloon. Arenair is not actually going to know here that his blue buff's gone.
No, he's not going to know, but he will be able to get there in time. He's going to reset the little vision icon once he realizes it's missing, and it's going to respawn at a normal time because the entire camp was taken. The moment we see Nif and Candy Panda getting a lot of good poke down, and that's actually the blue buff was taken by Candy Panda as well, so he's going to be able to spam out all his additional abilities. The one thing that's going to be interesting to note once we get to team fights is how important Jay Ree's tidal wave will be, because there's a lot of mobility for SK, you know, knockback, speed up, knock away, jump up, etc. So if a good tidal wave holds him in place, Alternate are going to be able to control team fight, but if not, SK should be able to get to safety.
So here we see Hercubot on the hunt for a possible first blood here against for Lord. Not an easy champion to lock up, but down in the bottom lane, Creatine taking a lot of damage. There's the Aqua Prison coming out, and that will manage to hold Candy Panda away, but Alternate struggling in this bottom lane.
Yeah, barrier burn, so summon a spell down just thanks to those cooldowns and the ability to spam. Candy Panda has double the CS right now, though. For Lord positioning himself over to the side, getting closer to Arenair as possible, and of course he doesn't need a flash over a wall. Kerp taunts up Kevin, and it's just going to be some trading back and forth for the time being.
A little bit of trading in that top lane. Don't expect there really to be any kills going down without the presence of the jungler in that top side. Bottom lane may be different though. We've seen that Candy Panda and Nif coming out very, very aggressive here at the start. They want to get that early advantage that you always want to get when you're facing a Vayne.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was about to point out. Normally when you have a Vayne on your team, you want to swap to the 2v1 lane, allow your Vayne some free farm up until level 6, 7, 8. Just cross some of those item thresholds. At the moment, there was a very big CS difference between Candy Panda and Creatine, but with the wave being at Creatine's tower, he's keeping it within touching distance, and that's the most important thing right now.
Now we see them once again backing off to do golems. This is something that they've already done here, leaving the lane once it starts to push through, and then picking up that extra experience in gold, whilst then, hopefully for them at least, getting back to the lane without missing any of those creeps to the tower.
Yeah, so at the moment they're keeping relevant on levels. It's a level 3 Vayne. He was getting pretty close to level 4, so, you know, this next Probably Canyon Minion plus 2 more should be enough to do it. They're staying relevant, and the only thing that they need to do is just keep up, because if they keep up, you'll see that eventually J-Re and Creatine will actually be able to out-trade Sona and Ezreal just because of how much damage Vayne is able to put out. Right now, though, Kerp is pushing this wave up a little bit. Hercubot, level 4, red buff just wore off. So the on-hit slow is not going to be there, and that might be vitally important in holding Kerp in place. Well,
he's actually going to get the knock-up here on towards Kerp, but he'll be safe from this one. Kerp literally does nothing about it there. Started with that Doran shield, a lot more beefy than you'd expect at this stage of the game, and he will be safe. No problem there.
It was the most anticlimactic engagement I think we've ever seen. It was basically a high-five moment from Hercubot onto Kerp. Aranea sniffing around, not able to make an impact before 5 minutes in this game like he did against Fnatic last weekend. But we've seen what he can do with Lee Sin, so just a matter of time. He also likes to build those sight stones, so likes to make those big high mobility plays.
And really impressed so far with what we've seen from Candy Panda and Nif. They're a bottom lane that you don't initially think of as being aggressive when you compare them to other teams, but they've certainly come out the blocks flying on this one. There's Lord actually wandering through the jungle of SK, and he's going to try and make an impact on the top lane.
So he has level 6. Kerp on Stand United has level 6 as well. There goes the dive. The bot comes in. They're going to slot down Kevin. There they go.
Here we go. It's surely going to go down here. This is looking like it will be first blood, and it is Lord that picks it up there in the end. And well, Kevin, to be honest, was very, very slow to react to anything there.
Yeah, that was all too easy. Kevin was hoping to repel some of the damage. He was in human form when the glacial path was coming across. He swapped his spider to repel up. Right now, Candy Panda's gone in.
Yeah, Shen going to get involved down at the bottom here as well. And Candy Panda, is he going to be able to escape this one? Creatine is actually burning here. One more auto attack from Nif will finish it, but Nif might pay for it with his life here. They decide not to chase as Hercubot was coming down. They spotted him with that ward, and we'll be finishing that with a killer piece.
Yeah, so well played there. One of the things that happened that ended up costing Creatine his life, Kerp tried to taunt up Nif, and Nif actually flashed the Shadow Dash taunt. It put him in range of Creatine's Vayne just to get that last little auto attack down. So they trade 1-for-1 at the end of the day, but the kill did go onto the support. That's not 100% ideal in this setup. 2-for-1, and that top lane engagement, it was too easy. Alternate jumped in there. They clicked, and unfortunately, Kevin died.
Yeah, not quite able to react to that one here, as Ocelot going to have a big wave pushed up against his turret. He is 6 CS or so behind. That will obviously be all leveled back up by the time this wave has gone down. Lord going to be getting himself the blue buff. So that was stole on the start of the game by Hercubot, so they're going to get that one secure this time around.
Yeah, and he's probably going to try keep better tabs on it as this game goes forward. Something that Alternate have done very well in all of the games that they've played this split is react as a team and move as these sort of 2, 3, 4-man units. If it's a solo laner, the jungler will be there to help. Aranea has been so present on the map these games and in all these matches that plays into their favor. Creatine and J-Re right now have swapped to this top lane, and I think it's because Creatine was feeling the pressure of Candy Panda's Ezreal. He wanted to go back to a 2v1 lane and go, well, look, let me get closer to 100, 120 CS, and then once I get a Blade of the Ruined King picked up, then I'm willing to fight.
Aranea there, just moving himself up towards the red buff. We throw the Q out there, which will have alerted Hercubot to his presence. In the end, that red buff had already been taken away. No smart use from that one. As Candy Panda getting taunted up here underneath the tower, and that's a very dangerous position. And we've said it before, we're not quite so sure why Kerp got Shen in this game. We're not sure why it got let through. As Frenlord going to go in here. Aranea coming around the side. Shockwave was used. Aranea going dangerously low here, but he will be finished off. There's Hercubot coming in. He may just clean up himself. There's the heal coming around. Sona steals a kill from him. That's one that Hercubot could have probably, or would have been very happy to have. But in the end, it's 2 kills for 1, and that's a good trade.
That was a brilliant shockwave from Ocelot. He was under the pressure of 2 members of Alternate, and just before he got locked up in that tomb, he managed to pull both of them together under the tower. That damage plus Ignite, and obviously the assistance of Hercubot, was enough to pick up at least a 2-for-1 trade in that particular situation. So well played there. The pressure is still on as Creatine and J-Re have now built up a very big wave for Kevin to face in this top lane.
And we'll see how he deals with this one. Alternate should be getting some free damage onto that tower once again. It's already down to less than half HP, so that work has already been put in there early on. But this is going to be the first tower of the game.
Now, at this point in time, one of the things that's been very interesting for me is the wards around Dragon. So with this tower going down, we've seen both J-Re and Nif moving in and out of the Dragon Pit. You can see them down again, clearing out wards over and over and over. SK will put another ward down. Ultimate will put another ward down, SK will clear it. Expect, once that tower falls, that Ultimate will begin to collapse around Dragon to try force that objective.
Kerp up to 65 CS and 101. He's almost got that Sunfire cape finished here after just 10 minutes, which obviously makes it a lot harder for SK to have an impact on him in this bottom lane, even in that 2v1. Right now, they're going to set themselves up, though, for a Dragon attempt again. Now,
if anybody's going to be able to steal a Dragon, Arena is definitely one of the most likely. Kerp is down on the bottom, looking for Lord in the middle. The Dragon is still being pulled up, though. Lord does have his ultimate up, so he can jump in at any time, but this is going to be a 3 versus 4 at best. Vayne and King are missing. There's Lord.
Lord, it could be in trouble here. There's a brilliant shockwave again coming out from Ocelot. But have they got the pace to get in? Stan United going to come down on towards Lord. That will keep him safe. And in the end, no kills happening. The Dragon, of course, wasn't taken either.
No, that's very, very important because now all of a sudden, Alternate, they had the numbers advantage, but you can see that Nami and Vayne are moving back up towards the top lane. They've caught out Kevin. Is he going to get caught in the bubble? He's stunned.
Oh, is he going to get knocked up? No, not quite there. And almost connected with the wall there with that condemn from Cretan. That could have been the death of him.
I don't know if being a different human or spider form will affect the distance to getting stunned, but he just missed it. If that stun had connected, that would have been a death. End of story. You would have been caught by the active prison. Right now, there's Aranea.
Oh, they've missed a few ultimates in there, but Lord was... I'm not even sure what he was quite doing there, to be honest.
Maximum range on the crescendo. Absolute maximum range caught him out.
Oh, he actually hit him, did it?
Yes, he was just stunned at the absolute tip. Just went in and managed to lock Lord up. With his death and the damage they put down on the rest of the team, SK have now got a free Dragon, and will pick it up after a pretty prolonged dance, because there was a lot of wards, a lot of vision going back and forth. At the end of the day, with Gret and Jerry being nowhere nearby, it was free for SK Gaming.
I'll apologise for to Nif saying that he missed his ultimate then, because, well, he missed it on Aranea.
Yeah, it wasn't his target.
That's my fallback for that one. But good stuff here. SK, of course, now taking the lead in kills and in gold. 800 gold is the difference that they have. Not got any towers under their belt at this point, but Candy Panda, he's starting to farm a lot. If you compare that to Creatine, they're pretty much bang even right now. Got that BF sword in there, but it looks like Creatine going the other way and straight in towards that Blade of the Ruin King.
So we'll see once that gets completed how aggressive he decides to play, because against an Elise, against a Xin Zhao, you're going to be able to use that active just to help put more and more distance away from you and control the tempo of a fight. But very interestingly, the fact that Candy Panda's got the BF sword, it implies he's not going to go that blue Ezreal build that we've been seeing over and over and over. I actually think it could work against a Vayne, because you can outrange you, you can control the speed at which he chases you. And it doesn't feel like he wants to, as he's been caught by Creatine.
Creatine's going to go head-to-head here with Candy Panda. Actually, the wave coming through from Nami will pretty much save Creatine's bacon there. Hercubot was coming down to help with that one as well, so bit of a crazy engage down on the bottom lane. Neither AD carry wanting to get drawn too far into that one, and no kills resulted.
Had Hercubot not been around, Creatine would definitely have continued that chase. He had the ability, he had that Hunter in the Night, his ultimate on gives him that big boost to his movement speed when chasing enemy champions, and he would just would have carried on chasing him down, but wisely decides to back off. We do see Lord, he's picked himself up an Abyssal Scepter as his first item on the game, only got that Doran's Ring. And that's quite interesting on Alessandra, because her mana costs are quite high. Kerp's moving in, he's not going to steal the red buff.
Pretty close, though. I think if it had been there half a second earlier, you might have been able to get that one off with a Vorpal Blade, since Hercubot didn't have his smite available for that one. And right now, Alternate got some deep wards down inside the SK jungle and looking to maybe catch someone.
That's an Aranea ward, and the reason I point that out, he's within range of Safeguard. So if anybody walked over the distance of that ward, he would have jumped to it, kicked somebody back, and that would have been the initiation tool. That would have been the let's pick a fight moment. I still remember him kicking somebody back and J-Re landing a hook on a target, flying through the air, thanks to that Dragon's Rage kick. True Shot Barrage gets fired up. That's to help clear the minions in the mid wave. We've got a little bit of a slower game on our hands right now. Less ganks and less action, except now.
Except now we are going to see Stan United coming down. Nif going to get stunned up here. He's trying to get away from it, but a max range taunt from Kerp coming out there. And they've hardly lost any health in getting that one through. The crescendo was used, the flash was used. That's a great pickup for Alternate.
And we actually see more pressure in the middle. Ocelot.
They're going straight in towards Ocelot. He's not escaping this one. Aranea coming in, but for Eleanor's damage was enough there all alone pretty much to finish that one off. And that's going to be a turret here as well for Alternate.
Crucially, no hesitation from Pharrell Lord either. The Frozen Tomb came down the instant he was within range, so Ocelot never got the chance to pull them towards him and get all that damage down. They managed to pick up the tower in the bot lane, while Hercubot is going to get the tower in the top lane. So they end up trading 3 for 1 as far as towers are concerned.
Yeah, that's not the best trade ever, to be frank. But look at this, the 5-man Alternate now. We're down in the bottom lane, and SK have to reply to this one, otherwise they're going to lose this in a turret. I can't see them getting there quick enough for this one, and that is a very fast move from Alternate.
Right now, SK Gaming need to make a play. They've been reacting to Alternate, and they've been picking up kills here and there. They've picked up a tower thanks to reacting to the pressure on the bottom lane. But unless they're the ones landing a crescendo, landing a good shockwave, they're not going to pull ahead in this matchup. Nif, it's a very good ward down, reveals Pharrell Lord's position, but his crescendo nor his flash is available. And Nif is actually, he is a flash crescendo kind of support. So always got to be aware of that once we get later into this game.
Right now, SK looking to reply with this. They've got a 4-man squad of their own pushing down towards that bottom tower. And in the end, it's actually a 5-man. I can't count. But yeah, pretty much every player now in this bottom lane, which suggests that there might be something about to kick off there.
Not quite sure what gives you that idea, Joe Miller, but with the minion waves here, maybe that's the signal to go. They haven't got it stacked up. The taunt does get missed. Here comes the tidal wave, and here comes Pharrell Lord.
There's a shockwave on towards Aranea. He's falling dangerously low from this one. Kerp not super healthy either, as Pharrell Lord actually goes straight into the middle of them, pops the ultimate on himself. But is he going to die from this? He's burning with the ignite. Kerp is going to fall as well, and SK managed to pick up a 2 for 0.
Simply put, Alternate were 2 split there. SK backed off. They peeled exactly like they needed to. They made a half moon so that none of the AoE abilities could truly hit all of them. And once that Frozen Tomb was down, they re-engaged. They recommitted. Kevin did so well with his rappel. He flew up into the air. He waited until he knew where Pharrell Lord was going and then pounced right on top of him with that spider form. Tower number 2 picked up for SK. This is going to be tower number 3. And if anything's available in the jungle or the dragon in 30 seconds, they're going to have prime position for it.
Yeah, very strange part of the game now. There was like all 10 players down there with 17 minutes in, 10 players down in the bottom lane. Alternate go in, but kind of half-heartedly. Pharrell Lord himself, dove straight in the middle of the pack, put the ultimate on himself to, basically the mini Zonyas that Frozen Tomb gives you. But they weren't able to follow up then with enough damage.
And basically, the reason Pharrell Lord did that is because Kerp dove in there first. Kerp dove in and tried to get a taunt. The taunt was dodged by Candy Panda's Arcane Shift. He didn't get locked up or caught out. And I think Kerp forgot Pharrell Lord wasn't playing Orianna. Because if there was an Orianna ball on top of his head, it would have pulled everybody together. To be very fair as well, Ocelot's ultimate only caught Aranea. It was off a little further north. Nobody was really grouped up tightly enough. And because Alternate's composition needs you to be stacked for it to truly work, it meant SK got away with it. Right now, Dragon is up. We have a couple members of Alternate around. Stand United is available for Kerp, but I don't think they're going to challenge. And now Arena's in trouble.
They may lose Aranea from this one. There's the crescendo coming out just to assist. It's Kevin that picks that one up. Now Hercubot getting locked up here inside of the Aqua Prison, but he may just be able to follow through for this one. There is the claw coming through, not quite able to grasp him, and that will be 7-5. Meanwhile, Kerp in the top lane is split pushing.
As only a Shen can, and we've seen Kerp do his traditional build as well. Hex Drinker second. It's something he's been doing over and over and over with his Shen. Maybe it's the way you should be building Shen. He's been caught out by a very good Cocoon. And Kevin's just going to be happy to farm up the wave. So Dragon, though, did go the way of SK, and they maintain that gold lead.
Yeah, certainly not a bad item to have, even if it is his normal build. As we are going to see Candy Panda being chased down here by Creaton, get stunned against the wall. Creaton didn't have vision of him because he was stunned inside of the brush. Candy Panda trying his best here to juke him, but he can't really match the damage of that Vayne with that Blade of the Ruin King and a Zeal now on top of it.
No, not at all. Candy Panda did relatively well to keep in and out of vision. Right now, Creaton, he flashes it.
Flashes away and actually starts to turn around there on towards Ocelot, who himself decides to back back off once that shockwave was flashed away from. And again, crazy stuff going down in that bottom lane. If we look at the CS and the kills between the two AD carries, it's a bit of a scary thought for SK Gaming, because this Vayne has got more CS, has got more kills as well.
Vayne is always going to do more damage than an Ezreal will the later this game goes, and especially if she starts getting a little bit more fed. With that Cloak of Agility picked up now, that's going to be working towards the Phantom Dancer as well. And once a little bit more damage goes on, there's not going to be anybody that can sort of one-shot, or can out-duel her, rather. But if she is caught by a Shockwave or a Cocoon, that's going to be enough time for them to kill her, and that's what SK are going to be relying on. Land the CC, get a Shockwave, get a Cocoon, focus her down, and then win the team fight.
Alright, there just went in to get the race. Good job he put that ward down, because both Nif and Hercubot were both coming in his direction. Right now, just throwing those Qs out there. Does have a ward in that top brush as well, but needs to be careful not to overextend from this one. He actually drew 3 men from SK pretty much up to him there to try and push him off, and will back away from that one. So if you look at the minimap, lots of wards down actually all over the place. SK in particular have got massive ward control of their own jungle on that top side of the map.
One of the things that also means, that's costing them gold. If you look at the side of Ultimate, they have 2 Ruby Sightstones on their team. So that's 2 champions with up to 3 ward charges per champion to litter around the map. Every single red dot that you see on the defensive side, near their red buff, near the Baron, that's 75 gold worth of investment. So this very, very small 1,500 gold, thing is basically being spent towards, even though Nif does have that Ruby, it's one less than their opponents.
One less than them. We can see the amount of gold earned by each player there, and actually Nif doing well if you compare the 2 supports, 5.5 to 4.2. Then again, he's got 3-1-3 right now.
Well, that's another good thing as well. If that 3-1-3 had been on Candy Pan as Ezreal, when the duel had occurred with Creatine, having that additional 1,000 gold worth of damage statistics, because he got Creatine pretty low. If he had an extra 1,000 gold, maybe another pickaxe, maybe a completed Phantom Dancer or similar, maybe he could have been the one to win the fight.
Well, right now, RNA is waiting to go through, actually lands the Q, and that's a signal for Nif to just back the hell away from that one. Doesn't want to get jumped on by RNA and then kicked out to the rest of the team. Shen doing a normal Shen thing, which is pushing down this bottom lane here. Kerp now up to 140 CS currently. Candy Panda actually being the one that's drawn away from the rest of the team to stop that.
Yeah, even though Lee Sin was able to land that Sonic Wave, the Lee syndrome of immediately following it in. You get that itchy trigger finger. Let me go, let me go. But wisely, it was a little too deep. Nif was immediately running back to his second tower. So again, this is just a matter of vision, and right now SK's vision is much superior. They're going to be able to make much more informed decisions about where their opponents are. And basically, because they have to respond to the split-pushing Shen, they need that vision. They need to be able to run through their jungle and not run into a Lissandra, Vayne, Nami combination.
Well, right now pushing in for Unload, actually going to dive straight in on top of him. Aranea is there as well. The damage coming through as a tidal wave will rock SK, and now they're in all kinds of trouble. The bubble will land on towards Hercubot. Who's going to be the target after that one? They don't quite have the damage here, but now Creatine's joining in. There's a kill for Aranea. That's 2 men down for SK. They've lost for Eleanor, but Creatine now getting right on top of Nif. He's not going to escape this one. He's shut down, and now Candy Panda the one that's going to be turned on. Jerry needs to land one more bubble. Well, he did just before that, obviously. Now on cooldown, yeah, being chased down there is Kevin, but he's got a good old repel to get away from Kerp. 3-for-1
exchange. The fight started out with both teams not having their AD carries. Candy Panda was near the bottom lane. Creatine was near the top lane. Because of the amount of burst that Ferenlord has, plus that sort of safety net of his ultimate, that was able to buy the rest of his team enough time to get in there. Tidal Wave hit 4. Kerp stands united, kept him alive even longer. And then basically once Creatine and Candy Panda were in there, SK were already losing the fight. And you're never going to outrun a Vayne. She will chase you down. And that's basically exactly what happened. At this moment in time, that's all Ultimate needs to do. They need to wait for SK to just go a little bit past the safety. They have no outer towers and no inner towers on the top and bottom lane. And Ultimate can just go, well, we'll react because we can chase you way more effectively than you can chase us.
Oh, Ferenlord may just catch Nif out here. He's got a little bit too far away. He's going to lock him up. There's another max range taunt from Kerp. And Ferenlord picks up another kill, and they're not done just yet. They're still going to go chasing through here. Kerp was maybe thinking about going straight over the top of the wall. He puts a ward over to spot the team.
And because of the kill they just got, they're immediately going to fall back, take Dragon. They have defensive wards in the jungle. Lord will push this wave out, and this will put Alternate on the board as far as Dragons are concerned. I think this is their first, and I believe SK have had 2, if memory serves correctly. So that's going to at least start to close this gold deficit. And all of a sudden, they have the lead. They have a 500 gold advantage over their opponents thanks to 2 team fights and 1 additional Dragon right now.
And we see Kevin actually very ballsy play, stealing away the blue buff there as that Dragon was taken down on the bottom. Alternate out with the Oracle for Jerry. Going to be clearing out around that Baron area as well. So Alternate may not be too far away from at least starting that off to draw SK out.
It's a very important thing to point out, because if you look at Lord's build, he still doesn't have any form of mana regen outside of that Doran's ring. And, you know, like I said, Lissandra is a very mana-intense champion. Even though her passive will give you sort of 1 free spell cost every now and again, you're talking 85, 50, 90, 100, you know, 280 mana for a full combo, 1 of each spell, and she needs to get more of them out in a fight. So with a relatively small mana pool, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be more on Lord to control his mana pool in these upcoming team fights.
Right now, SK trying to work their way in onto that outer middle turret. Not got much health on it either. A couple of hits from Candy Panda would be all it takes, but you know, that Ezreal, not got the biggest range in the world, and you always face the danger of that Lissandra jumping onto you.
And he's building the phase, she's building towards a Trinity Force. We have not seen a Trinity Force Ezreal probably since Season 2. I mean, I'm hard-pressed to think of an Ezreal that performed at any LCS or a top-level play later than the end of last year. Right now, though, it does seem like SK, they're feeling brave. They see that Kirk is in the bottom lane. Stand United is available. And they do not have Kevin. Kevin is moving from the top lane themselves. So this would be a 4v4, and I think they need Kevin. But that's good damage from Ocelot.
Yeah, Ocelot putting a lot out now that he's got that Rabadon's death cap with him. As Kevin and Hercubot and the rest of SK, for that matter, are now moving in towards this inner top turret. They're going to be trying to take this one down, and I don't think Alternate can reply.
That was great play from SK. They simply outpositioned their opponents. They poised as though they were going in the middle, but here's an engagement. There goes Lord. Frozen Tomb. He's been stunned.
Shockwave comes in onto him as well. Aranea and Kerp are both with him there, but Lord going very, very low. Will get finished off here by Ocelot, and I don't think between Aranea and Kerp that they have the damage to finish these off. They are going to see another man dying. Kerp will try and flash away. Now he gets chased down by Candy Panda, who's actually got no mana here, and he'd have to be looking for that Phage slow, if anything, to really control him. Creaton here going to get jumped on by Kevin. He sinks his fans in there. Has to use a barrier as those spiderlings go skittering onto him. And that will be, in the end, a 3-0, and SK got perfect position now on the Baron.
Phenomenal fight. First and foremost, Kevin and Candy Panda completely zoned out Creaton. They kept Vayne away, they kept his attention. Then, Nif managed to land a crescendo the millisecond that Lord reappeared. He followed in with that glacial path. He appeared after the claw, and as he was about to get his ultimate down, he got stunned. He ate all the damage, and he was forced to use ultimate on himself, not on a target. So that additional burst damage that comes down from the Frozen Tomb wasn't there. Perfect fight from SK. They got the tower, they got kills, they got Baron. They're in the driving seats.
So let's see what Alternate are going to decide to play this one now. Pretty much with their backs against the walls after losing that Baron. If you look at the gold, SK now 4,000 in the lead, still ahead in kills. They're all level on turrets, and if you look down the individual gold, it's pretty close in some retrospects, but in some areas it's really not that close. I mean, Chuck Kerp and Kevin, for example, 2,000 gold, over 2,000 gold, they're the difference between them. That's
a massive number, and it's starting to show in these team fights. The previous engagement was very much in favor of SK. Alternate tried to make a play happen, and I think overzealousness, overconfidence maybe in their ability to land their spells cost them that fight, because they didn't need to throw themselves in it. They didn't need to pick a fight into the fog of war, you know, into their opponent's defensive position. So Alternate will probably need to just press that pause button, slow things down for a little bit, and once Baron wears off, maybe they can react that he actually Candy Panda stole that with a very nice Mystic shot.
Nice and cheeky. Kevin pushing that top lane out here as well. And we talk about, you know, the split push potential of the Shen, but Kevin here with this Elise has done a fantastic job of making sure that that top lane is constantly pressured here. And they have to be careful about that because they can't afford to lose that inhibitor in that top lane. That would be a perfect start to things for SK.
Both sides also have very good tower diving teams. If you have Hercubot, who's got a fair amount of armor and HP, he can dive into a team with Command Protect on, land a good shockwave. Follow that up with True Shot Barrage and Crescendo. That's instant team fight win in a matter of seconds. You have a similar situation with Pharrell Lord or Shen. They can dive under a tower and pick a fight. But because Alternate are defensive, they need to be way more afraid of it. They cannot afford to stack up. Take a look at the bottom lane tower. On the inhibitor, Kevin has got a minion wave there, along with those little spiderlings of his, while the rest of Alternate try to fend off this mid lane.
Yeah, we're having to come across to deal with this one here. Kevin, in the meantime, is racking up those creeps. 250 right now, compared to 189 of Shen. And we see where that 2,000 or 3,000 gold difference is starting to approach, where that's come from. Also, the 4-1-1 also helps out a lot as well. And it looks like he's going to be stealing away another blue.
Well, that's 2 blue buffs in a row, and again, I cannot stress enough how important that is against the Pharrell Lord. Against the Lissandra. Because Lissandra really does need a lot of that cooldown reduction, a lot of that mana. There's no additional CDR in Pharrell Lord's kit at the moment. He's got 3%, which he's got from his mastery. So, you know, it definitely plays into their favor to keep control of that buff. SK going to pick up a tower for completely free, and then probably turn their eyes to the bottom lane. There's a big minion wave there, and maybe start applying pressure.
Yep, Dragon is also available here. That's a very realistic target for SK. Every little bit of gold is going to be healthy. As Candy Pounder seems like he might have to solo this one. The rest of his team like, you got that, don't worry about that. You can take down that Dragon, and they will be backing off. And I can only speculate, but I'm guessing that they've got a lot of gold here now, SK. That's a lot of wave that they've pushed off. Managed to take down the Dragon as well, so they're going to be all headed home here to buy. Yeah,
the slower pace of the game is because of the fact that their pants are all being held down by the amount of coins in their pockets. So now that they're going to go spend this money, we'll most likely see tier 2 boots being picked up by Candy Panda, maybe even Nif at some point. At the 32-minute mark, to see them both with only tier 1s is quite interesting. But that is, of course, because Nif is going to start putting some points into that Song of Celerity. He get additional movement speed that way. I really like the pickup of the Locket of the Iron Solari because the burst damage that's going to come from, you know, the kick from Lee Sin, from his executability, from Pharrell Lord, it's a good protection for your entire team. So, very smart pickup there. Whereas J-Ree, he decides to go challenge. He wants to spam bubble, bubble, bubble as much as possible.
Yeah, see if they can catch someone and pop them. So, right now, Alternate taking as much as they can from their own jungle before the imminent SK push comes back down onto them. They don't want to be losing any more than they should really be giving away. Right now, SK themselves are making sure that this top side of the Alternate jungle is going to be warded up as well. Baron not going to be too far away.
Dare I say it, this is the first time this split, with the exception of Gambit, that Alternate had been playing from behind. This is another position that Alternate are not going to be as familiar with on the stage under the lights, because Alternate have been the driving force. They've been setting the tempo, making the plays, and all of a sudden they realize they're behind. I think they'll know that they've got a goal deficit. They'll know that obviously the Baron has worn off, but now they've got to figure out how do we reclaim control of this game, and it's probably going to be one of the playmakers. It's going to be Aranea catching somebody or Pharrell Lord catching somebody that will set off the trigger of events.
You see right now, Kerp just going to be matched by Kevin in that bottom lane. I don't want to let too much being pushed up with that Baron coming up here pretty soonish. And the one thing that we always talk about with SK, and I feel like we said it about them more than most teams, is that they have struggled to close out games where they've been ahead. They have thrown away leads that they've had. So now against a team like Alternate here, as you said, they've not been really in this position much before so far in the LCS, but they've shown that they can win games against these top teams, despite the fact that SK, without a doubt, as a five-man team, have a ton more experience than Alternate.
Yeah, the one thing that Alternate does have, though, is they were a million billion gold behind the Giants, and one shockwave was able to bring them back into it. I think in the deciding game against the Giants in the promotion tournament, they were 12 or 15,000 gold down at that point, and they managed to hold out. So that'll at least give them some hope and some faith. I think for SK, they really need to figure out where their engagement comes from, because until one of them actually has the bravery, Kevin or Hercubot, to dive in there with that ball on top of their head to deliver it into their enemies, there's little else that SK can actually do. Their sieging potential is relatively null. There's good wave clear from Alternate, and they don't really have that, we'll just sit at your tower and bore you to make a mistake kind of composition.
Well, speaking of that, we do see Shen pushing, as we always see, in this bottom lane. And slowly but surely, he's pushed further and further and further up that lane. So SK finally sending someone back there, Hercubot in this case, to make sure that that is going to be stopped. Gives us a perfect bit of time to look through the items here as that Baron's going to be started. Really just want to look at the AD carries because that's the interesting one right now. Last Whisper, Phantom Dancer, Blade of the Ruined King done. On the other side, actually, Aranea, wow, almost going in there. Took a lot of damage, and it looks like the fight's actually going to go in for this one. That failed flash does come in there. We see great crescendo coming down. Why is Forellenlord not being involved in this one as they get bounced around? There is Forellenlord finally getting in on top of it. Doesn't use his ultimate in this fight whatsoever. An Alternate have already lost 3 men. Hercubot going to come over the wall. Ocelot now on the killing spree, and that is a 4-0 for SK.
The question is, do they want the inhibitor or the Baron? They actually can get both. Pick up the mid inhibitor, roll back. Simply put, Alternate were out of position. Aranea tried to make a play happen, took so much damage from the Orianna command attack and command dissonance. His HP got dropped. He was no longer relevant. J-Re tried to flash to safety. He face planted to hit the wall, and then unfortunately found his death. And a very, very good play for SK. They stayed grouped. They waited for a mistake from Alternate. It wasn't under a tower like I was thinking it might be, but they caught them out in the jungle and managed to, pick up a good win.
Right now, that Baron spawning in. We have pretty much a freebie here for SK. Forellenlord might try and be cheeky here from the side, but he's got to be quick to get in there. The Baron's going to go down before Forellenlord can get anywhere near it.
Yeah, he had his flash, he had his ultimate, he had everything available, but simply put, there was just too much damage coming down. Elise is pretty good at taking down Baron with all those little spiderlings in spider form, plus the skittering frenzy. He does a lot of extra damage that you sort of forget about. And right now, it's the second Baron in the game for SK Gaming, a massive creep wave here for Ocelot. That'll give him a good chunk of change to clean up. And basically, SK Gaming will shop, pick up the items they need, and then re-engage. Now they'll siege. Now I think they're going to feel powerful enough to be in a position where they can sit under Alternate's tower and say, right, now we'll bring the fight to your front door.
Alternate not scared here, though, of pushing out, and they're looking to catch someone off, and that may just happen for them, as not quite. The Spiderling comes into the brush, spots them putting down that ward.
Yeah, just short of actually really getting anything advantageous. Candy Panda with that Lost Whisper picked up. We were talking about AD carry items before the fight happened. Trinity Force collected, Lost Whisper collected. So with his passive and the Trinity Force, it'll give him, respectable attack speed right now. But one of the things that we definitely want to keep a close eye on is whether or not in the dueling situation, he actually can use that range and the additional movement speed of his Zeal to try stay away from Creatine, because Creatine went very aggressive in that previous fight.
Candy Panda just did something completely weird there. We saw him taking the red buff, and he left one of the lizards up, actually. You saw him, kind of go, did I kill it? Did I actually kill it? And he didn't, so that's not actually going to be respawning for him here. A bit of strangeness going on, but we're talking about a red buff here for almost 40 minutes into the game, so probably not going to be the biggest thing in the world, but you never quite know what's going to turn things.
Yeah, it's going to completely delay the spawning of the next one, so at the very least it's going to be a pain in the butt. Right now, though, with the super minions in the middle wave, we'll most likely see SK Gaming. They should move to the top or the bottom wave. There's a very big minion wave pushing in their favor against Alternate. So they're going to allow the minions to do the pressure for them, group up maybe towards this top lane, and basically just pick another tower to focus down. I'm not a big fan of using the same wave of super minions to apply your pressure, basically because they can do the work for you. You allow them to control the map. And I think SK are realizing that as well. With Kerp in the bottom lane, he does have Stand United. It's just a matter of time before they start bashing away on this turret.
Look at that shield as well. Very tanky Hercubot, taking 0 damage pretty much from that tower. We are going to see them now wedging themselves in there to try and take the tower down. Already got it to below half HP.
So we'll see how quickly that goes down. Forellenlord takes a massive chunk of damage. True Shot Barrage, he does manage to sidestep it, but he's forced to recall. That's going to be the second inhibitor of the game. SK picked that up through poke. They put all that damage down, just landing a couple of skill shots, and it was picked up for free. Kerp is now way out of position, so he either needs to recall and get to the fight late, or SK are just going to pick up another tower for free.
He's actually going to recall now. So SK start to take the jungle, and I was saying about the red buff, and Candy Panda gets himself alternates anyway, so he's going to refresh that one for later on. What other items have we seen being picked up here? Void Staff now with that Seraph's Embrace, Rabadon's Death Cap, Morellonomicon, and a second needlessly large rod in there as well for Ocelot. And we just saw there the damage that came out onto Morellon. What damage, what amount of damage he can do. I'm
not as impressed by that yet because it's only 854 ability power. It's not quite over 900,000. So we'll get to that point soon enough. But the one thing that's definitely showing from all of SK's practices is look at their vision control again. Keep very close eye on just how many dots are scattered across the map. They want to know every single move that Alternate make. The minions are streaming, conga lining onto this bottom lane, and look at the damage on Kerp. That's their tankiest member who's lost 40% of his HP from 2 combos. And look at Pharrellin Lord. At the moment, this is Ocelot's game saying you will not pass.
Yeah, Ocelot doing a fantastic job as we are going to see the tidal wave coming out here as Kevin going to use his Zhonya's Hercule bot going very, very low. There's a fantastic crescendo coming around the side here as well. And are they going to be able to finish off? It looks that way. Kerp is going to fall. Pharrellin and Aranea making a quick, desperate attempt to get over on towards a fountain and get that heal, but they're going to lose a Nexus turret. The second one will fall here with Candy Panda. In fact, 5 men from SK there hammering away on it. Pharrellin Lord and Aranea are pretty much the only 2 here to stop it. But SK are going to take it down, and they beat